So just to start things off, I always like doing a little bit of research into my interviewees, and I noticed that you are an Englishman living in Texas. Is there an interesting story behind that?
I originally was born and raised in the UK, and I graduated with a computer science degree, which I never used. As soon as I came out of college, I started. I went out on a sales call, and I was like, "Wow, this is what I want to do. I want to talk to customers. I want to connect with, with the people who are actually using our products versus just developing them." And I was working for a company. It was actually in the simulation industry. So I'm one of the I can actually say back in the 1990s, I was building digital twins, but in a very different way. And the company was based out of Pittsburgh, and I just always wanted to go see the US. I badgered my way into an interview, and they offered to bring me across and work in Pittsburgh for a year, and I never went home. And 5 years after I started there, I moved to Texas, and then sort of then you get a wife and a son, and son kind of like becomes your home. So. Yeah, it was a big transition for me a long time ago. It does seem like a long time ago, but became an American citizen a few years back, and yeah, this is my home. Love the States, and but happy to have sort of a global view of the world as well.
And I was going to say, like in terms of the British palate of cuisine and so forth. I mean, I bet Tex-Mex is a huge shocker when you first got here.
Yeah, you can get any sort of food anywhere in the world now. When I go home to the UK to see my family, there's Subway shops, the actual Subway sandwich shop, and it's the same here. I can get any British unique food, weird and wonderful at any number of grocery stores here. So it truly is a global environment these days.
Right, right. And I figured the last question I should ask, the last personal question is, you got a lot of sci-fi models around your office. Are you a big sci-fi guy, or are you just a big modeling guy?
Oh no, I'm a huge nerd. I actually took some down for this interview. I normally got something on my speaker here and stuff. I thought that was a bit too distracting. But as I say, I've got a comp sci degree, so I am a huge nerd at heart. It's part of the reason I love some of the applications that we have at Dassault, and why I've stayed in software and technology. And I also do some scale modeling. I actually built a lot of those from plastic kits and painted them. And as part of like I said, my nerd or geek side of my hobby.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends who are into model kits and so forth.
Right.
So it's par for the course. But
Yeah.
I suppose that does lead into our questions, because before doing this interview, I will admit that my view on Dassault and DELMIA products were very narrow.
Mm,
It was always in terms of the practical side,
mm,
usually when it comes to advanced planning and so forth. But researching it really does seem like Dassault's bread and butter is all about visualization and virtualization. So
mm.
just to start off the interview, because you know. Dassault is not necessarily a household name like, say, Microsoft or IBM. So,
Right.
can you just give us a brief rundown on Dassault Systems? Like, what is its calling card, and
Mm.
what is this whole obsession with virtualization?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Dassault is sort of it's a household technology, but not a household name. I mean, nearly everything that you have on your desk in front of you, your phone, your car, the plane that you flew in on, the food that you put on the table has been touched in some way by Dassault System. And the legacy of Dassault is around the digital world, building digital models first in the aerospace industry. I mean, that's where the company came from. I mean, Dassault Aviation, building commercial and military aircraft, developed software to actually make that process easier in terms of CAD and design, and that became so successful it spun out as a separate company, which is where we are now at Dassault Systèmes, and grew, just exponentially. Because we were such a deep domain expert in building these virtual models, now virtual universes, where you can experiment and innovate, in endless ways and unleash the creativity of the human mind to really sort of innovate, not just, as we say, not just in the product world, but in human life for the planet as well. And so, we've always had a strong foothold in this concept of being able to build these virtual environments where we can do more, experiment, innovate, create. And that's grown not just from obviously aircraft, but to every industry on the planet, to where we're a global force, providing innovation, like I said, in almost everything you touch, your phone, transportation, food, home goods, in manufacturing, in construction, and also in life sciences, in now innovating virtual, not just virtual twins of the product or virtual twins of facilities, but now virtual twins of the human body as well. So you can innovate in medicine and all sorts of different ways, which we who would have dreamed of, not more than 10 or 15 years ago. So it's an incredibly diverse set of capabilities that the company brings to the table across all sorts of environments and industries. And within the DELMIA brand, we have a unique aspect or part to play in that vision, because we're actually unique in the Dassault family, that we actually are the brand that connects those virtual universes to the real world in terms of real world manufacturing execution and construction execution and all the rest of it. So, it's a fantastic environment to be a part of, and especially in the DELMIA brands, as I said, because we actually connect the virtual real worlds together for our customers, and bring some of those virtual worlds to life, and then learn from it, in a continuous innovation and improvement process.
Right. So the DELMIA brand is very specifically, Dassault is their software tends to be about design and so forth and visualization. So DELMIA is the suite of software to make those plans a reality, but in a practical sense.
Correct. So we have several major disciplines in the DELMIA brand. The first is industrial engineering, and that's the touch point really, where you start to think about taking that virtual model and then saying, I've designed it and I've sort of built how I could engineer it, but now how do I build it? And if I build it, what problems or risks or opportunities do I have to make that as efficient as possible when I actually come to build it? And of course, that's the second discipline, which is our manufacturing operations. So, actually on the shop floor, as things are being built, aircraft, planes, trains, home goods, it's the DELMIA brand software that is actually executing the steps of production. We also have the ability in our third domain, planning and optimization, to provide ways to more efficiently schedule all of those operations that are occurring in the shop floor and across the supply chain in general. And then of course we have some collaborative experiences to tile the vast sort of array of different stakeholders and organizational departments to sort of execute together in an orchestrated way. So but yeah, we do have this unique sort of connection with the virtual world to say, yeah, we've done as much as we can to optimize the design, the engineering aspects of it, but now we've got to build it, and we have to do that flawlessly as well. And that's where, if you want to use the analogy where the rubber hits the road, we actually continue that digital thread and allow companies to not just execute it as a downstream operation, but then get information about how well are we executing it, and what did we learn from execution, what are the problems we have in execution, and feed that back into the virtual world to make sure that we are continuously improving the overall process.